Okay, in this lecture, we're going to be talking about form, which is the next element of sketching. Okay, so form is pretty similar to shape, right? Shape is kind of just what something looks like from a two-dimensional perspective, looking at its silhouette. Okay, but form goes three-dimensionally, and form is what we use to describe volumes. Okay, so form can be broken down. Any image, any 3D mask can be broken down into a handful of basic shapes or variations of them. Okay, so the first one is the pyramid, which is a variation of the triangle. The sphere, cube or box, doesn't have to be a cube, it could be a rectangle shape, and the cylinder. Now all 3D objects are composed of one of these three shapes. Okay, you can have lots of different variations of these. For example, there are four-sided pyramids, or you could have a three-sided pyramid. You can have a cone, which is a mix between a cylinder and a pyramid. Okay, there's a cone. You can have, in addition to that, you can have a cone with the top cut off. Okay, but all of these can be broken down into one of these objects, right? There's spheroids, which are a three-dimensionalized elliptical, right? More of an egg shape. Boxes can also be like this, like a pyramid with the top cut off, but not quite going all the way. Okay, everything is made up of these. Okay, now if you can think about the thing you want to draw in your head three-dimensionally and break it down into these basic shapes before you draw it, it'll look a lot more accurate to what you're imagining in your head, and it'll also look a lot more realistic. So let me give you an example. This here is a quick sketch of a T-Rex I did. Now, looking at this at first glance, it might seem pretty complex and made up of a lot of difficult shapes. But if we break it down, we can see that it's actually pretty basic. So here is what it looks like broken down into shapes. Okay. Now, most of these are pretty simple. So we have, let's see, make sure on the right layer. Here we just have a big cylinder, right? Nothing too fancy. This is a big spheroid type shape, right? The face is just the lower jaw is pretty much just a pyramid shape with the top cut off. Same with the head, it's more of like just a box shape, right? We have arms are cylinders and spheres for the joints. Legs is a giant cylinder. Tail is broken up cylinders. Feet are just big boxes, right? So once we break this down, we can begin to see it's pretty easy. And you can even see, right, if we bring it as an overlay underneath, it's lines up perfectly, right? And it doesn't look weird or anything. And of course, some of these, you'll have to refine the shape and cut out of the shapes and add more in order to get exactly what you're looking for. But more or less, everything is going to be made up of these shapes. So when you're drawing, instead of just coming into your drawing and trying to, on the first go, you're coming in here and you're trying to, let's say you're trying to draw, we'll use a T-Rex as an example. Say you're trying to draw the T-Rex. Instead of just coming in here and, start drawing out the eyes and, you start sketching the whole thing and you just go right into the drawing and you're trying to draw this, you're going to have a hard time making it accurate, right? Unless you've drawn a lot of T-Rexes. So instead, what you should do is come in here and think about what shapes are, right? We know the head is more of a box shape to start off with, okay? We can draw the mouth, find the center line of things to help us line stuff up, right? And then pretty quickly, we can start to work out the shapes of everything, where everything needs to go, okay? And then you can cut into these shapes for where you want there to be eye holes, right? So on and so forth, okay? And you just keep working it until you can kind of build up what you're looking for. Now, this is just to help you get an idea, right? You don't need to go super detailed and make everything perfectly accurate in these volumes. This is just to help you place stuff and understand its volumes before you just start going in for the final details. Because after we do this, right, let's say we do the bottom jaw as well, and then we're ready to start drawing over the top of this. Now we can, instead of just having to guess and figure out where we are, volume-wise, we know exactly where to draw stuff in at, and we know exactly where it fits in space, and it will make more sense to us, right? Instead of just trying to kind of guess around and hope that we get lucky with where things are placed. This helps us understand exactly where it needs to be placed in space. So it takes practice, right? And if you can learn to visualize something in your head in 3D, that's going to be an invaluable skill to you as an artist. And I recommend you try and do that every day, is to think when you're trying to draw an object, don't just draw it, but think of it first in your head as a 3D form and see if you can try and rotate it in your mind, right? So you can see that the bottom jaw is a little bit small, and that's why you could go ahead and go back to the forms and just rework it until it's perfect. That's it for the lecture on form, and I'll see you guys in the next lecture.